Okay. So what we're doing is we're going over a basic recap of the entirety of our D&D campaign, and we have all of this to cover. That is about it. I will intervene with a few things, and uh, with a few things, and I will tell you what's how this campaign started and so on and so forth. But Yugi will do maybe the majority of these readings. That's about it. Without further ado, all right, you ready?
Do you want to move VCs at all, just in case someone hops in?
Yeah, we could do that. Do
Okay.
you want to just do a private call?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Alrighty.
What do you want?
Okay. How do you want to do this?
How would we do this?
I don't know. This is kind of off the rim anyway. So, up to you. Do we want to start by an explanation of how the D&D campaign started, or?
Yeah, probably we should give context.
Okay. So, this campaign started by, I want to say, Joey and Yugi asking me if I could do a D&D campaign host thing, and then now I feel like it was mostly a Yugi thing because Joey hasn't showed up to a session in a while, but it's whatever. But in reality, it doesn't really matter how that part started. But I decided to make the campaign start pre the destruction of the planet Vegeta. And in doing so, we made it to where the... Oh, I need to move this over here real quick. What? Bam! Thanks, Actman. Alright. So, yes, pre-destruction of Vegeta. Almost everyone had to start as a Saiyan, unfortunately. Whether or not that, hurts the story at all, I think it didn't. I think it provided a lot more camaraderie amongst players. It gave us a better story arc with some of the characters that will be in here. And really, the only reason we have all these logs is... Yugi, what happened exactly?
On our very first mission, our squad leader decided to use the group call to send a log to his mom.
Yeah, and then it was, and the captain of the group was Nappa, and this was supposed to be before what happens, before Nappa becomes Vegeta's guardian / Grand Vizier Nappa, because that happens in the campaign. And so this is a mix of DBZ A lore and DBZ Xenoverse lore, and a bunch of other things that I thought would make this story a little bit more cohesive. There's a lot of time travel bullshit. That's mostly because of the Xenoverse side of things, eventually. There was going to be a option between whether or not we take place in the Xenoverse lore, or if we take place during the normal timeline. And overall, it ended up being that the normal timeline would have too many constrictions and too many things we couldn't do in terms of hilarious fuck-ups and shit. Because I think the game in the Roll20... Yeah, it's Low-Class Warriors. And then what? The D&D channel is called Filthy Monkeys. Yeah, Filthy Monkeys D&D. I wanted to make it to where... it would be funny and fun at the same time. So I think the Xenoverse timeline rules weren't always implemented, and that made it better, because otherwise you'd just be playing Xenoverse as D&D, and that would get boring after a time. So I made it to where they actually had to impact the timeline. So things would change, the rules would be different. It's basically a giant what-if scenario from Masako, but as a game. So yeah, I think that's all the background knowledge we need to talk about, right? Is there anything else I should mention?
Not that I know of, but do we also want to give context and stuff while we're reading?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay.
Do you want to give your character's backstory real quick?
Oh, okay. I played Spinnick, which these logs are from his perspective. He was born incredibly weak to a family whose father wished they had a powerful warrior son, which, well, they got the exact opposite.
Well, not entirely wrong.
Yeah. Well, should I say it from the original one or now the updated version?
So the issue is that timey-wimey things happen during your story. So, like,
Yeah.
it's a little... That's why I said it's a little bit of both. I didn't mean to, like, correct you. It's just that it's, like, it's a little bit of both happen. And even then, your character has, at the moment, reached Super Saiyan, which is stronger than any other fucking Saiyan on their planet. So, in the end, regardless of what your parents would have thought, you, or your dad specifically would have thought, your character, Spinnick's dad, you beat that tenfold. No, 50. It's like the power level is 100 times more. So I think you did. Spinnick did good, is what I'm saying. Sorry.
I'm proud of my boy.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give the updated version.
Okay.
Spinnick has a brother named Aru, who is Spinnick's older brother. Aru was a bit stronger than Spinnick, but they were both still kind of weak. Well, Spinnick was incredibly weak. This caused their father, every time he would see them, to go into a rage and beat them. Sometimes going to attempting to kill them, and then getting interrupted multiple times. After a few years of this, though, Spinnick's brother decided to run away. And since it happened so early on into Spinnick's life, Spinnick forgot he had a brother. And also other timey-wimey, yada yada.
Yeah.
So, for as far as Spinnick was concerned for his whole childhood, he was an only child who would get beaten by his father almost every day.
And the brain damage.
And the brain damage from getting beaten to death almost every day.
Yeah.
But, of course,
those
as
Saiyans
Saiyans...
stacked up eventually.
Exactly. As Saiyans work, every time you almost die, you grow stronger. After years of Zenkai boosting, Spinnick became on par with the average Saiyan warrior.
Only on par.
Yeah. He was pretty far behind.
This is... We did use character tokens from Xenoverse. So this is what Spinnick looks like. Currently, mind you. I forgot what... I don't remember if anything super changed about him, but this is what he currently looks like.
Is he wearing the Bardock armor?
He's wearing Bardock armor, Vegeta gloves, and Vegeta boots. And then
that's true. I want to update his look soon.
You can do that. It's fine. That's Spinnick. Is it? Yeah, there's more to say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah. For most of his childhood, though, he began to share hatred towards his father, as his father did towards him, until one day, his father pisses off just some random Saiyan that his name is Bardock. He pisses off a Saiyan named Bardock, gets immediately knocked out cold, and Bardock just walks up to Spinnick and is like, "Hey, do something about that. You are a Saiyan." And that was all Spinnick needed to hear to try and fight back. Which kind of backfires, but also kind of not, because his father would hit him harder. But Spinnick would learn from it. And after a few more years of trying to now fight his father, Spinnick feels pretty confident that in their next fight, he might actually be able to take his father down. So he's just got to wait for his father to come back from his mission. And then he doesn't. So Spinnick has decided that he was going to become a Saiyan warrior, so that way eventually he can become a Saiyan elite, and then eventually decide his own mission so he can hunt down and kill his father. And that's where Spinach started.
Zuki, I mean, he didn't. There we go. Alright, fix that. I can fix Zuki's image soon too. Alright, so that's Spinach's story.
Yeah.
I think we should just explain the characters too, to a degree, real quick. At least the saiyans for them, until we get to the part where Berg shows up. Is that cool with you?
Yeah, cool with me.
Who's gonna be easier to explain? Spinach or Nasu or Squash's family?
Probably Squash.
Okay. So Squash and Zuki are brother and sister. The player for Zuki has kind of up and gone at this point, but that's whatever. At least I could fix their character sheet token and make them known what they look like. So Zuki is the older sister, right? Or is she just younger but taller? It's one or the other. I don't think that matters in the end. And even then, they don't really refer to it often, oddly enough. But they're brother and sister. They grew up in a well-classed family. The only issue is that Squash was looked more down upon because he wasn't strong at all. His base stats alone, like his constitution was a -1. He had his dex was way higher than his strength. He intentionally made a bad Walker intentionally made a bad character because he wanted him to die, because he didn't want Squash to be a main character. He wanted his main character to be Berg. That didn't fucking work out. So Squash becomes basically like the captain eventually. But really, their story is that they start off as a well-classed Saiyan family, like wealthy family, and they induct themselves into the Saiyan warrior program in order to prove their worth. Even though Squash really can't, that's why they partnered Zuki with him to hopefully make sure that they didn't like fuck off and die. Basically, they wanted one to balance out for the other. Zuki's original start was the strongest character in their entire group. She quickly fell to the sidelines, though, as she, one, didn't get Super Saiyan, or basically any Zenkais fast enough as the other players did. She basically didn't get hit almost at all, and because of that, while she was stronger than most of them to begin with, the rest of them also managed to just ascend faster than her because she just wouldn't get beat up, which sucks for her, but whatever. Let me pull up Squash real quick so you can see what Squash looks like too. Alright, there we go. Squash kind of looks like this. Yamcha hairstyle, but beat from Dragon Ball Broly movie with Raditz armor. That's what Squash looks like. Congratulations. I'm not really certain there's anything more to say about that, but yeah, they're just brother and sister duo. They both are currently kidnapped in where we are, so they're at least together somewhere. But yeah, that's about it for Squash and Zuki. Just wealthy Saiyans who had to prove themselves. That's about it. Nasu, he's a weird one. He started his own cult of the legendary Super Saiyan, which basically is just a super fanatic of a legend on planet Vegeta. And he would mostly only listen to whatever who he thinks is the strongest person around, which often did not end up being their leaders, but that's not the point. Either that or he just completely disregarded any rules or followings from his captains in general, because that's just how Nasu be. He has a family, including another player who is Telika. However, at the moment, they don't know that Nasu doesn't know that Telika is his daughter, but Telika knows that Nasu is her father. Uh, there's a lot of weird shit with that. But he got sent off to another planet when he was a kid. He didn't conquer it because he didn't want to, I guess. And then, in order to make sure that the Nasu didn't blow up their planet when he was on that planet, the locals basically just gave him snacks and shit and said, do whatever you want, just don't fucking blow us up. And Nasu was like, fat bet. And then sat on that planet for like 7 years playing video games and shit. When he got bored of that, he decided to go back to Saiyans and tell them that the planet was conquered, even though in the end it never really was. That planet then teleported out of the system and was never seen again. He somehow, after that point, got married to someone after being labeled a low-class warrior because he couldn't even handle the security of this one really weak planet. Turns out that planet disappearing, though, shows that it's a little bit stronger, but that's neither here nor there. And the class that he picked specifically was the Broly class, so there's some weird shit with that. Mostly, it explains why a bunch of characters died really easily or early on, even though they shouldn't have. And I don't mean early on in terms of their ranks or whatnot. I'm talking about, like, Xenoverse. When we get to the Xenoverse part, I'll start telling or saying where we're at. But yeah, that's basically Nasu's story, is that he was shipped off, became a cult leader about the Super Saiyan, then came back to Earth, married, had a couple of kids, and then joined their group. And then we got to talk about Maze, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I just read Maze's backstory. I have plans for him, and I can't say those plans on this stream and recording because then it will spoil it for the rest of my players. So, in short, Maze got dropped off on a planet as a kid with his family. Oh wow, that's just a short, super small icon. I don't know how I can make that bigger. If anyone can see that better, then that's good for them. What's this? Nice. Joey won again. Maze and his family went off to a planet to try and avoid the Saiyan culture because their family didn't believe in it. And the aspects of fighting wasn't to, like, conquer, tame everything. Fighting was to be used to better oneself and promote their own mental health, I guess. Congrats, Joey. I'm proud of you, bud. And then his family up and disappeared one point when Saiyans invaded the same planet that they had escaped to. And then his parents disappeared. We don't know what happened to them. Maze then hijacked one of the pods that the Saiyans landed in and then went back to Vegeta because he had nothing better to do because his parents were gone and this jungle planet that he was living on for the past 7 to 10 years wasn't really feeling his vibe anymore, I guess. And so he went to Vegeta and enlisted into the Saiyan fighting program that everyone else went into. And that's basically where our story starts. Other than that, Nappa, when he shows up, he is on the cusp of becoming Vegeta's guardian because we are about 5 years before the planet Vegeta exploding. I don't really remember how much work I put into this timeline thing. I think I tried to make it as accurate as possible, but even then it doesn't really matter because really I was just trying to have fun with the Dragon Ball campaign as much as possible. Yeah, but Nappa hasn't been promoted exactly to elite class warrior or anything yet, and he has been basically not forced, but his duties as a captain would be training the next generation of soldiers of Vegeta, the planet, to be able to conquer more worlds. This is also technically before Frieza enlists the Saiyans into the Frieza Force as well. This is a different reminder because that becomes a point eventually in the campaign. There's a bunch of cutscenes eventually. Yeah. But that's basically the start of the campaign. Is there anything I'm forgetting, Yugi?
Not that I can think of.
Nice. And we did that in under 20 minutes, so I'm proud of us. All right. Let's begin the logs.
Yeah, we gave context in under 20 minutes.
It's good enough context, if you ask me. I don't feel like anything was missed out there. Even then, the players can give more context somewhere else if they want to, when they want to. Do you want to read first?
Yeah, actually, we should have figured out how are we going to read.
It's your logs in the end. That's up to you.
Well, just keep taking turns.
We can take turns for sure.
Thank you. All right. Saiyan log 1. We landed on Mortis, and our leader Nappa called his mom to write his story. One of our members, Nasu, opened his pod while entering the planet and fell out and broke his legs. After quick combat, me and my allies accessed our Great Ape form thanks to our sniper, Squash. After taking down the signal tower and killing their king, we've claimed the planet. 27 kill total. That was a short one. Wow, I used to do these short.
Yeah, a lot of shit happened this campaign, or that session. Napa Bay, they landed on a planet, was like, their mission was to make sure it was immediately available for selling. So their main mission was to blow out all their weapons, munitions, and all that shit. So they landed basically above their factory and above a major fortress where they could just assemble and beat the shit out of wherever the fuck they needed to. They went in. Nasu opened his pod immediately, fell out, broke his legs. I made him roll for everything, and he just kind of like fumbled and fell to his death a little bit. But he didn't die because I felt like that would just be a little bit too rough. Also, we've seen Saiyans fall from bigger heights and not die. So I felt like falling out of a spaceship from the atmosphere and hitting the planet would not kill them in the end. So that's fine. It's whatever there. Nappa basically was like, all right, so our basic mission and how this always usually goes down is just go in, go grade 8, blow up everything, and leave. And then that's basically everything that happened. So, yeah. I don't remember, was there anything else that actually happened there?
No, that was really it. We just took down a small army.
Ah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Log 2. We returned from our mission, and we were rewarded with credits. I said hello to my mother and Gine, Goku's mom, or Kakarot's mom in this context, because they're both Saiyans at this point. But we are going on a stealth mission, and our leader, Nappa, will be using this as a test to whether or not... And will not... Oh, this... Okay, my bad. I'm dyslexic, so this is going to be a little bit...
No, I read it the same way.
Okay. Nappa will be using this as a test and will not be joining us. Nasu would listen to no command that did not come from his own mouth, and considering adding him to my kill list, we met 2 Namekians. After me, Squash and Maze split up from Nasu and Zuki. Also, Frieza is a name we now know. And it doesn't sound good. Maze is going on a killing spree during our stealth mission. Later, we met a frogman named Frampt. Frampt. He had a really high power level. We managed to steal a large ship while running from Zarbon and Dodoria after I managed to stun them and some of their crew with a high-frequency screech into their mics. There was also a really, really strong third power level, who I believe was this so-called Frieza. Total kill count, 3.
Alright, I hope the logs get better. I don't know if they do, but this sounded like one of my worst work.
It's fine. It's from your perspective anyway.
Yeah.
So, like, not everything can be explained. Oh, also in that mission, I think Nasu and Zuki went back and, like, killed a dude.
Right, Raspberry,
yeah. Raspberry was, like, assassinated because he mouthed off one too many times to Nasu. Because, you know, opposite sides of the forces, the Frieza Force and the Saiyans, they don't get along that often. And so, like, Raspberry was just like, yeah, I don't really need to listen to you. And then Nasu was like, oh, I'm going to make you. And by that, I mean I'm going to kill you. And so he killed him. Even though they already basically made him paralyzed. And he basically asked them for, like, medicine so that he could continue breathing in case he was going to be able to survive this encounter. Which they didn't let him do. They drowned him in a fucking sewer. It was kind of funny, but really sad. So... Frampt was just this frog. Like, literally, it was a slad that was just like, you know what, I need another person here so that he can maybe take fire and not get everyone killed. Let's make him work. And then threw Frampt in there. And yes, it is a Dark Souls reference. Alright, you can go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Log 3 and 4. Because this, I think, took 2 sessions.
Could have.
Yeah. On our way back to our planet, we were chased down by 2 pods, but I managed to take them out with the help of Nasu and Nappa. Maze seems to have obtained amnesia, but we talked while we sparred.
Log 5. We were sent to space station by the order of King Vegeta to, quote, send a message. We entered somewhere. We encountered someone named Gulda who could somehow teleport. We managed to wipe out their comms and escape routes, and then blew up the station. Upon our return, we were informed of our new mission of a hybrid Saiyan loose on a planet called Planet Plant. And we met up with Nappa. We then went to party at Club Saiyan and got so drunk. And I got drunk. Whoops. I also learned Corey may not be my real father. That was a red herring. Log 6. Was there anything else about that?
I mean, I got in a bar fight with Nasu.
Did you?
Yeah.
With Nasu or against Nasu?
Against Nasu.
Does he remember that?
Spinnick or Nasu?
Nasu.
I don't think so, because we were both drunk.
Okay. Y'all did basically tear apart that fucking bar, though. Man, I had a map for that and everything. I think it's gone, though. I think that map is just 100% gone. Yeah, it's gone. Wait, is it this one? What is this map? I don't know what this map is, but I'm a little bit concerned. Yeah, I think that... No, I have your house, though. I have your house saved still. Damn. Yeah, I guess that map's just gone. I have the map where you died.
Do you have the slightest idea?
How little
that narrows it down.
Alright, moving on. Log 6.
Log 6. We landed on Planet Plant and began tracking the Saiyan hybrid. After traversing the carnivorous jungle, we managed to find Gem. After a failed attempt at an ambush and Gem wiping out all of Nappa's Cybermen with ease, we engaged in combat and barely managed to escape with our lives. Gem blinded us and escaped. I finally tried out the energy cannon I was working on since childhood, but unfortunately, I'm not quite ready to get ready for it yet. I do believe I can use the energy to improve my punches, but just can't fire it yet. I believe if I do it right, I can recreate Corey's Moonveil Rush. We could make our own moves in the campaign, which was fun.
I thought that there would be more impactful if the game... Roger's playing Hogwarts Legacy. Interesting. I thought it would be more impactful for the characters if they could make their own moves. So Yugi has Moonveil Cannon, Moonveil Rush. Joey has Vanishing Phantom Ball, which I don't know whether or not is an actual move. I think it is. I can't remember, though. And then Dax has Void Call Cannon, and Rem has, what is it called? Like Reaper Cage? It might be just Reaper Cage, actually. I might have remembered that perfectly. Yeah, it's Reaper Cage. Wow, I did remember that. Good for me. Gem has a bunch of custom moves. What's up?
You said good for you.
Okay.
So I clapped.
Thanks. Gem is a completely OC character, just like the rest of them, basically. But we'll get to that in a minute, I guess. Log 7. May Squash and I went late at night to an unconscious Gem after Maze nearly screwed it all up by waking it up. How dare you refer to Gem as an... Anyway.
We weren't friends yet.
I know. We were able to put on the shot collar and trank Gem and bring him back to Vegeta. What?
I hate and also love how Maze giving people food becomes a like somewhat effective theme.
Yeah. Sharing is caring, yo.
Sharing is caring, and you will die for it.
Yeah.
Log 8. We managed to get back, and Squash decided to play hero by shouting at King Vegeta and saying that we are going to keep his science experiment, because why not? Since Squash angered the king, we're being sent to the front lines and most likely to our death.
All right. I think that right now is the best place to
Explain Gem.
Say what Gem is. So Gem is a bio android made by King Vegeta in hopes to be able to make a pseudo hybrid android Saiyan that would be able to prevent the Saiyans from being overcome. However, Gem being a 4-year-old accelerated to the age of that of everyone else in the party. One, he's 4, so in his brain he's like, I have no idea what's going on. I'm just fighting because I know how to. And 2, he's part robot in a lot of different ways. His arm can detach. His inner core was made of that of a destroyer god's key, which burnt out eventually. I don't know if it's ever mentioned, but during the fight with during this next session, actually, or like this next planet that they go to, his destroyer key energy basically like fizzles out and they need to make a new core. So they use one of the artificial moons that works for some reason. I didn't really give a reason as to why that would work, but it does, and it's funny. And then he basically just gets nerfed. It's the... What's the trope, Yugi?
What?
When the boss becomes the ally.
Oh, yeah. The boss when you fight them versus the boss when you unlock them as a playable character.
Yeah, he gets nerfed almost immediately because what I had him set up as... I was expecting them to try to kill him, to be honest with you. And what I had him set up as was like literally if 17 and 18 were Saiyans, plus a little bit of cool Destroyer God energy. That was fun. And then they recruited him, and I was like, well, shit. And now I need to nerf him. And so now I did a bunch of stuff to make sure that he would start dying, basically. But Gem's name was going to be Swede because this other dude was supposed to play him, and then nobody played him, and then he became integral to the story too. And I was like, shit, well, now I have to use him. And so now he's just my own little character doing whatever the fuck I pleases kind of thing. I think that's it. Is there anything else that's important about Squad or Gem?
Did you show the totally original picture that you
totally
drew and didn't steal off Google?
No, I did draw a version of Gem, who now I have to fix his name again because he's not fucking showing back up.
He showed up for one session.
30 minutes of one session. So he's Super Saiyan 5 Vegeta. The reason is that he is a clone of King Vegeta and with the DNA of a different alien species, and then he's also an android. He's a bunch of things. He is literally a Dragon Ball OC character if you've ever seen one. But he's not actually in Super Saiyan 5 or anything. He just has silver and white hair because of his aging protocols and stuff. So he's just rapidly aged to the age of everyone else, and doing so that did permanent stress on his body to where now his melanin count in his hair, or whatever the fucking chemical or it is made his hair just permanently white. He's basically now an albino Saiyan because of the science experiments that were done to him. So yeah. That's it then, right?
Yeah, that
okay.
should be it.
And Vegeta doesn't hate him, I don't think. I don't think they refer to each other as anything. But Gem
Oh,
definitely...
he hates Vegeta.
Gem hates Vegeta, yeah. That's something I've kept apparent, but that's because of his dad. He daddy. And it's not like Gem has... Or Vegeta has apologized to Gem, even though they're half-brothers at this point. It's a little bit weird. Log 9?
Yeah.
Okay. I read Log 8. Wait, did I read Log 8?
No, I read Log 8.
Oh, okay. Log 9. We're being sent to planet Swede. I clearly have pissed off Nasu because he dislikes my very existence. Glad we are now on equal terms. Now begins our long fight to Swede, where we are being sent to die.
Long flight to Sweden. Ah, dang. Now I get the first big one.
Yeah. That's why I was asking if you want to do Log 9.
Dang it.
Yeah.
Alright. Log 10. Wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, freaking, that was all one session?
Yeah.
Wow.
We every time we do one of my sessions, we cover half of the content that I planned to last a couple months, and then it just ends up being like, when we scroll down to the Planet Namek session, like half of these they get so much longer. Like session 27, I think. No, that's even before that. But like these sessions get so huge.
We did the entire Namek saga in one session.
In one sitting. It was like a 12-hour D&D session. It was fun.
Yeah, I was having so much fun.
Alright, what log were we on? 10?
Log 10.
Okay.
We will also need to maybe bring up some other stuff after this.
Okay, yeah.
After landing on Swede and being constantly bombarded by Frieza, by the Frieza army, we were surprise attacked by a being named Berg.
Oh,
he
that's
killed
what you mean.
Squash before. Yeah?
You mean we have to introduce Berg?
Yeah, and also the fact that Turles was there.
Oh, well, Turles was there. That's all we had to say about that,
yeah,
really.
that's how we know Turles.
Yeah.
He killed Squash before my eyes, and something apparently snapped. I was back in my childhood home with my mother, Corey, and a face I've apparently forgotten. My brother named Aru. After a bit, I snapped out of what seemed to be a dream and was locked in combat with Berg. Once again, freaking loved how you did this, dude.
Thank you.
Something was different while I was fighting Berg. I felt much stronger. My energy I could see, and it was golden. Nasu called me the legendary Super Saiyan, which I was not.
Correct.
During my fight with Berg, Nasu was able to bring everyone else back to the ship. Even with this new crazy power, I couldn't take down Berg. I struck a deal that we would leave and he could keep the planet to ensure we could escape. As I left for the ship, I felt the crazy power fade and we escaped the planet after Nasu called in an orbital strike, destroying the planet anyway. I have a lot to think about, but I finally figured out the Moonveil cannon.
It was so fucking funny that I just was like, yeah, by the way, Nasu called it an orbital strike. What? So a few things happened on this session. One, Walker's actual character, Berg, was introduced. Berg is a Frieza race who he wanted to play first and foremost, but I was like, it doesn't fit with the campaign setting. I can't really let you be Berg immediately. So I need you to make a Saiyan character in order for you to actually play the session for a while. Oh man, we gotta talk about the funeral service.
Oh yeah, I think that's the next log.
I hope so. So Berg was he was supposed to be Walker's original character. We made Squash because he needed to have a Saiyan, and then his name is literally Squash because he was planned to get squashed by Berg so that, his Frieza character would come in line. But then I was like, okay, well, Joey Mays didn't show up to first few sessions, so we kept pushing back his death, and then I was like, okay, well, we have to get these people attached to somebody somehow, so I made them to where they would constantly get more and more progressively attached to Squash. Squash eventually got promoted to captain during these missions, and during this mission alone, Turles was there, and he was fighting on the front lines, and he was like, nah, fuck it. I need to get out of this fucking place before I die. I hate this hellhole. And the reason they were dying is because apparently grenades and constitution checks, which were the basis of the grenades, on the whatever fucking Reddit or thing I found for grenade checks on D&D, was the easiest thing to hit them. And they were always guaranteed damage, and at this point in the game, they just did so much damage to them that they just didn't want to fucking deal with it. And eventually, Berg shows up, destroys... No, don't go back. No, I was on this website for a reason. No.
Come back, please. No.
Yeah. Berg was... Where's the map? Oh, no. Did I delete the maps? I did not delete the maps. Okay. So, like, this was the battlefield for the Saiyans and everyone. There were tanks. Everything that is on this... the reds are exploded walls from beams or other people. The green... I forgot what the green was, but it happened. And then... oh, look! It's Squash's old token! Holy shit! Look at that pixels! Alright, that's fucking hilarious. Anyway. God damn. Oh yeah, and you couldn't make, like, people physically skinny in Xenoverse, so it was just bulky Squash. It was a Squash if swole, you know?
I trained.
The next time y'all see Squash. Squash gets killed, impaled, and Berg blows up the entirety of that place, and so now this is what they see. They go back to their ship, escape, blah, blah, blah. Wait.
That session was also where we actually put the capsule in Gem.
Yeah. So that Gem could live. Is there anything else I'm remembering? Or not remembering? You have 2 tokens for Spinnick on this one map. One with the name above it and one without.
I think I dragged one and you also dragged one.
Ah, okay. And I think that's it. That's it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but I set up Turles to be a thing for later, and they at least know Turles, and they had like a mostly friendly interaction. They're like, Turles is like, I'm not sticking around here. I don't give a fuck about Vegeta's ideals or anything like that. I'm out. I'm bouncing. I'm not fucking fighting this war. Because he almost died a few times there. But they didn't really get to see that. They showed up as Turles was leaving. And then they questioned Turles. They had a small convo. Nothing horrible. Turles left. There we go. And then all the Berg shit happened. Log 11! We were called back to Vegeta with the rest of the Saiyans to meet our new ruler Frieza. To end our Saiyan versus Frieza bloodshed. The day after, I was able to speak to Bardock, who may know something about the myth of the Super Saiyan. Maze wanted to fight me to see if he was stronger after my Super Saiyan showing. Plans were made to host Squash's funeral the next day. Immediately after the funeral, we were called to our next mission. We were being sent to Mandori, a beach planet. Nasu brought his family for the first month, and me and Maze spent most of the time sparring in the ocean. This session was kind of boring. I think the only good part about it really was Squash's funeral. We had music playing and shit that was like epic, and
not epic. It was sad.
It was. I'm saying it's epic because like I think most of us almost actually fucking cried during this session at the beginning of it. And I was like, holy fuck, this was actually well felt. Everyone actually had connections to Squash, and he's fucking dead, Jim. But then when we went to the beach, everything kind of just teetered out, and everything went like super peacefully. I was like, all right, yeah, there we go. Everything else after that point was like pretty boring, I would say. But that fucking funeral was super, super cool. I'm so glad we did that. But yeah, that Planet Beach mission was not really the greatest, I'll admit. There was penguins, I think, or squids.
Yeah.
What was it?
It was like penguin things.
Yeah.
I think you had the token of penguin soldier for it.
I can look.
I could be wrong. I could be very easily wrong.
I might have just had actual penguin tokens. There's Beerus with a gat. Okay, I'm almost there. There has to be a token of... No, I have Letzi, though.
Yeah, my mom.
Yeah, no, there was no penguin token. I think I just used a legit penguin token.
Okay.
Alright. Log?
Yeah, log 12. We were there for a long time.
Yeah, it was only because I needed to make the time between Vegeta blowing up and you guys being there enough to be able to cover to where y'all would get back and then get blown up, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So log 12. Approaching the 2-month mark, a large storm began to build around the coast. 6 weeks in, the storm finally arrives with 2 large beasts beneath it fighting. 2 large sea creatures emerged, but they were dealt with almost immediately. The rest of the time passed with nothing eventful happening. We then decided to return home per a recall order for Planet Vegeta.
Log.
I think the part underneath it was supposed to be different, but I don't know.
What you mean, brother?
Oh wait, never mind. I figured it out. Go ahead.
Log 13, our final stand against Frieza. Kill count 17. Frieza destroyed Planet Vegeta, killing all of us with it. We ended up in the other world where King Yama discussed our sins and allowed us to go train in our afterlife. It was that simple. There's nothing actually there to add.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think. Other than Nasu went straight to hell because he kept sassing Yama, which you'll realize hopefully sooner or later that Nasu's entire character is sass, and because of his sass he gets punished or sent to alternate dimensions and whatnot. There's a lot of that.
Yeah, and then log 14. After beginning our journey down Snake Ways, we met a trucker who drove us to a palace which belongs to a Princess Snake. After a very uneventful night, I got a fancy ring and am now a real man, apparently. Then we were allowed to leave as long as Zuki and I promised to return and visit. After days of...
Which they haven't yet.
Well, I mean, we haven't died.
You don't have to die to go visit. You went to Otherworld already when y'all talked to the guys.
I didn't think about that. After days of walking, we reached the end of Snake Way. We reached King Kai's planet, and we were forced to be funny. If I ever have to make a joke again, I will die. Again. We also were able to meet back up with Squash. We fought Gauze and Mez to get Nasu out of hell, and we returned. And when we returned, we fought Gem and Squash, who were in Great Ape form.
Who, by the way, Squash went Kaio Ape. Or is that in the next thing?
No, that was
okay.
Kaio Ape.
Yeah, so Walker asked me if he could do a Kaioken Great Ape transformation, and I was like, fuck it, make a con check. He survived. He passed it, oddly enough, with his -1 to con at this point still. And I was like, huh, alright, fuck it, Kaio Ape happens. We even had to get a token for it, and it was... Okay, that was weird. I had to make a token for it, for Kaio Ape, and it's this thing. It's literally just Red Ape Monkey Man. And that's basically it. But Yugi, or Mazen Zuki, were both betrothed to Princess Snake through getting drunk and them
getting drugged.
Drugged, yeah. Yeah, they didn't make the con check, and they were the only 2 people there who were even remotely pleasing to Princess Snake through different checks. Mostly them being actually civil, whereas Nasu was a dick, Gem was a child, and Squash wasn't there.
hungry.
Maze was too hungry and just didn't. I don't know what fucking happened with Maze, to be honest with you, but I think it's just the little monkey man mode that turned Princess Snake away from them. But Zuki and Spinnick were not too fortunate. So now they're actually wed to Princess Snake. They also all woke up not in the best position, basically.
That was a weird
It was weird, but it was also like it actually had to. Princess Snake does that in the show. Don't even. There's more lore to Princess Snake out there too, which is really weird. Like King Yemma actually was at one point married to her or something. It was weird. So I had to make that session extra weird because of Toriyama. Anyway, we could move on with that now. Log 15. Today is the day of the other world tournament, my bad. King Kai invited us to participate because he doesn't want us to be on this planet when someone arrives. Maze and I decided to try and hold on to King Kai's car while Nasu strapped onto the roof of a taxi, bringing everyone else. Nasu and I both fell off our rides and found ourselves in a strange world. We managed to sense some faint energy from quite a distance. I hope that this doesn't make us late for the tournament. They landed on King Kai's planet. That's probably covered in...
Not King Kai's planet.
Oh, right. Yeah. The land of the Kais, specifically, I guess. Anyway.
Log 16. Nasu and I managed to find 2 life forms on this planet, a short white-haired purple one and a large red one named Capito. After some questions, Capito teleported me and Nasu to the tournament. Gem went up against a buff bug man, but handled him with ease. Next came Maze versus some monkey man, unlike us.
Oh yeah, so I made Maze fight Wukong, and Gem fought Buzzwole. Yeah, this part became a joke, but I didn't have any ideas for, like, oh yeah, I could just use the dudes from the actual Otherworld tournament. Yeah, sure. That would be easy. I didn't want it to be easy, though. So I pulled up a bunch of different characters, including basically Super Age, Dante, Buzzwole, Wukong. Oh yeah, fucking Zuki had to fight Cumber, didn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was fucked. That was dumb. Log 17. I needed to make a second log for this. Maze was getting smacked around by this monkey guy, but after a bit, this strange flame burst from his chest, igniting parts of his body. He went on a rampage, destroying his opponent and winning after he almost passed out. Almost charred. This is his first transformation to Super Saiyan, by the way, for Maze. And we also wanted custom forms to be a thing. And I didn't have any ways to do that exactly just yet, but I think Joey asked, or maybe I just suggested, I don't remember, whether or not we wanted to use the form from the Dragon Ball Tale, the Dragon Ball story thing, the
Legend of Dragon Ball Tale.
Legend of Dragon Ball Tale, the fan animation that came out last year, where Goku basically lights himself on fire going Super Saiyan, and we used that.
That was such a good animation, too.
It was really good, and I'm hoping that the form will make more sense as time goes on and the campaign itself. So yeah, that's Maze's Super Saiyan transformation. He just literally goes on fire. That's about it though, and he was fighting Wukong. I don't know if his name was ever actually brought up though, because it's not actually said in here. Or maybe Spinnick just didn't pay attention to it. I don't know.
No, I don't think he ever referred to himself as Sun Wukong.
Ah.
Log 18. Squash went up against a Kai, apparently. Combining the power of the Great Ape and Kaioken, he was easily able to overpower the Kai and accidentally killed them. That Kai looked a lot like the Purple Man from that strange world, so I'm going to assume they are Kai as well.
Oh, yeah. That was okay.
Kyle Ape.
So yeah, basically I had set up the Kai's HP to be like super small, but their armor class to be super high, and then Walker nat 20'd and insta killed them, and I was like, oh well, neat. And that ended really fast for him. These aren't all in like separate sessions, by the way. I think because like I know that most of that stuff happened in one session. Like at least the Gem fighting Bugman, Maze going Super Saiyan, and Kai at least all happened in one session. So like not all of these logs are individually. Oh yeah, this is what. Did you hear that?
What?
I heard someone scream. Anyway, I hope that's not caught on my mic. Oh well. But yeah, these are all not all happening in one session, but also all happening in one session. So yeah. But that's log 18. Wait, did you read log 18 or did I? I lost track really easily. So you did?
Yeah, I know what log 20 is, but
log 19. I went up against a familiar Saiyan named Lives. You fought Lives?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. The Saiyan was the very tired Saiyan from Vegeta. I managed to push myself using Kaioken and was able to overpower Lives, but it was a fairly close match. So context, we didn't even talk about Lives.
Yeah, like I regret not putting a lot of that stuff in the logs.
That's sad. Okay, so Lives was a reoccurring sales character that they had. Lives basically was the shopkeep in on planet Vegeta in the main city that they were in. And Lives was just always fucking tired and exhausted. He was just chronically sleep mode and was tired of his job and whatnot. But the reason he was tired is because he had this sword with him the entire time, almost, until Nasu came along and was just like, you know what, I'll buy that sword. It's my sword now. He bought the sword from Lives, and he then after became slowly, progressively getting his energy back, because the sword, turns out, draws and is basically a key vampire, an energy vampire, from that one show, if anyone ever gets that reference. Anyway, and he was basically, he never had enough ki in order to sustain it, but Dax's character has the ability to double his ki, and he has it twice. So in character, the sword is just siphoning off of Dax's ki constantly, but Dax has so much ki that he really can't feel it, so he doesn't have to worry about that. But Lives definitely fucking did, and Lives was a depressed Bardock looking character, and that was it.
Yeah. What was... We found another funny Bardock image, didn't we?
I think the Bardock image that you gave me was the one I've been using for Lives.
Yeah, and then we also had the scientist Bardock.
Oh yeah, the super... Okay, yeah, let me just pull up... Oh yeah, so like, Lives looks like Bardock. There's Bardock the scientist who... Oh my god, we forgot about that. We didn't even cover... Okay, so yeah, the main thing that Squash was actually, like, capable in was the fact that he was smart. So he helped the R&D division of the Saiyans, minus the program with Gem. He was not allowed to touch that, just so that they didn't end up hating each other and whatnot. I don't have the token for Smart Bardock in the thing. That's gonna make me... Do I really not have Smart Bardock? I know I have Sad Bardock. Where's Sad Bardock? Where's Sad Bardock? I need it. Did I delete it from the other page though? Oh, there's Sad Bardock. So, literally, this isn't super important to the story or anything, like at all. But like, we already know Saiyans have similar hairstyles and faces. This is what Lives basically looks like all the time. Isn't it funny? And then we have the Smortboard arc. Where do you know where it is?
I can find it. I know it's in one of the group chats.
Okay. But yeah. So there's that. Is there anything else? So the R&D division had Bardock the scientist, so that it explained the smart one and then Goku's father as separate characters instead of, whereas in the English dub for like Ocean dub, Bardock was a smart scientist. They basically made Bardock into, or Goku into Superman, and I didn't like that ever. So now they're actually separate characters. Yay. Bardock the scientist, the very same. Did you find it?
I'm still looking. I can't remember if it would be in the like Filthy Monkeys or if it's actually in the other one. I probably search the name Bardock. That's not what I wanted to type in. I wanted to type in over here. Bardock. Add to log.
I had to use this scene for canon purposes. But yeah, there's Tora, there's Fasha, there's Bergamo. Wait, not Bergamo. Borgos, and Shugesh. I think that's Fasha at least. I don't see anyone else in that image that couldn't be Fasha. But yeah, we're canon.
I'm gonna check the other server. It's gotta be here, right?
I mean, it's a probability. I'm just using auto scroller to be able to check for me. Whoop. Damn. Ah!
You found it?
Nope.
Oh.
I actually pushed my mouse too far up and now it went too fast. But I still don't see it in Filthy Saiyans.
Found it.
Oh, where?
I googled it.
Ah, okay. You want to just PM it to me?
Yeah.
There it is. There's
That was a lot of effort.
5 minutes of trying to find Boardork the scientist. Alright. Back to log 20, Yugi.
Indeed. Alright. After my match, we began to send some evil ki from no certain direction. King Kai decided to teleport us towards the general direction of the evil ki. We're hoping to make it back before Zuki's match. After being teleported, we encountered a demon named Few and our old Saiyan friend Turles, both not dead. Few is attempting to cool down Hell with magic green fire. Squash decided to use the Spirit Bomb, which Few manages to easily absorb with a fancy crystal. Few then used the energy to summon a being known as Janemba.
Yeah, so I made them fight Janemba really easily. Or really early. And also make it the Amp Janemba from Heroes. Because I'm an asshole. Yeah. But Fu's doing funny things. He's a time-traveling demon and whatnot. We're starting to get into the Xenoverse-ish story stuff here. But yeah. Log 21. During our fight with Janemba, we managed to summon a Saiyan named Goku, or Kakarot, no relation, I believe, with somewhere fiddling with the crystal gem, Is that gem or gem?
With some more fiddling with the crystal with Gem.
Oh, okay, with Gem. Okay. We actually summoned a large bug man. This was Harudagarn. So they did that. After nearly breaking the crystal, Fu returned and Maze dragon fisted the bug back into the portal. Squash pushed Fat Janemba into a lava, killing him, we think. After talking with Goku, I realized that I could have attempted to summon Prince Vegeta. Janemba emerges from the lava as we are talking, and Fu claims to have upgraded him. With some more failures at using the crystal, Prince Vegeta walks through a portal. Vegeta and Kakarot talk for a second before and prepare to fight Janemba together. Yeah. Oh my god, you lucky son of a bitch.
Log 22. I have been informed that during our fights, Nasu fought a cowboy, and their match ended in a draw. Tough break.
Log 23. Janemba was throwing attacks all over... Wait, hold up, I can do this properly. Janemba was throwing attacks all over... Oh, nope. Janemba was throwing our attacks all over the place with his portals, but we managed to break through the problem and land some decent blows on Janemba. Kakarot and Vegeta asked us to hold off Janemba for a bit. While they did, they decided to do a little dance. The two fused into a small fat man called Veku, and belly flopped onto Janemba. Me and Janemba had to pause for a minute to take in what just happened, before Janemba slashed Veku with his sword and sent them flying, causing them to defuse. Then Kakarot and Vegeta decided to try again, but somehow this time they fused into their buffer version of Veku. Do you refer to this as Veku the entire time?
He never calls himself Gogeta.
Okay. They turned into a buffer version of Veku, but now I don't think he was named Veku, but he didn't say anything else. Veku teleported behind me to the tournament where Zuki was currently fighting a Saiyan whose energy felt incredibly evil. Veku told us that we will need to help Zuki fight her foe, or else we could all be in big trouble. Also, Zuki is now a Super Saiyan. Veku left us to go finish this fight with Janemba, and after a few minutes later, Kakarot, Vegeta, Fu, and Janemba's energies all disappeared. Nasu and I are going to help Zuki, while Maze and Gem have to wait for King Kai to come grab them.
Jesus.
Yeah, I'm going to show them the map that I used for the Janemba fight. So this was it. They were in hell. It was funny. This is the crystal that absorbed the spirit bomb. The machine is also here. I just didn't want to design more than what was already on this map because I am lazy with maps, as you will come to see. But at least it doesn't detract from the story. So, not a big deal in the end. And then Janemba appeared from this portal, fell into lava, blah, 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 blah. Alright, there we go. I thought the map was really fucking cool, though.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Do I have to read it up? God damn it, you!
Log 24. I think someone just walked into my room, but I can't tell.
How can you not tell?
Because there's a corner I can't see around. Yeah, I'm sure it's fine. We began our fight, and Cumber wasn't putting up too much of a fight. As we thought we had the fight under control, Cumber began to power up and turned into that Super Saiyan 3 that Kakarot did. So Maze and I decided to try out that fusion dance thing we saw Kakarot and Vegeta do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dang, these really... Yeah, this is when they started to get a bit longer.
The fusion went horribly wrong. We turned into a fat man like Veku and called ourselves Spank. We got no stronger, and we're basically just down a man in this fight. After Zuki and us were grabbed by Cumber, we lost control of our minds and bodies and began attacking our allies. Pretty soon, we ran out of energy and turned back into our 2 bodies freeing us of that mind control. And then I felt an awfully familiar energy. Fu! He said he had a little surprise and threw a large ball of energy into the air, just like Vegeta, which I had figured out the trick to by now. And then told Cumber to look up. Cumber, being a fellow Saiyan, turned into a great ape, but remained in his Super Saiyan state. He raised his arms into the air and began to use the Spirit Bomb, or something similar. We all decided that we have to remove Cumber's tail before he could fire off that Spirit Bomb. Everyone began to attack. Maze and I decided to try that fusion dance one more time. This time, we did something right because we managed to fuse properly. We then called ourselves Mazic, and we were much stronger than before.
I still kind of cringe about it because we planned something to say at the same time as well.
Yeah.
Like he'd go, I'd go, and then he'd go, and then we'd say the name together. But because of Discord,
yeah, it just didn't work out.
Ugh.
It was funny though. I thought this part was just fucking awesome though.
Which part? The fusion part?
Whoa, the tail. It was just so great because no one read the rest of this character's class. Because Cumber already had a character in the thing, and Zuki was using it too. And no one read it. And I was like, oh wow, they're actually all going to go for the tail. That's great. Good for me. And then it actually made it more dramatic. Go ahead and read 26.
With this newfound fusion power, we aimed for Cumber's tail and fired off a powerful dragon fist, slicing off his tail, only for it to regrow instantly. Yeah. We began to charge another attack to try and counter this incoming attack since we'd run out of time. Cumber throws his attack and we throw ours, boosting it with the power of the Super Saiyan state that Maze has achieved. The others join in, we all fire onto into the oncoming threat. It still wasn't enough, so other participants from the tournament stepped in to help. This was beautiful. Livs decided to teleport himself into the large ball and blow himself up to weaken it from the inside, sacrificing himself. With our combined power, we managed to beat the strange spirit bomb, and Fu decided to take Cumber and retreat. King Kai approached us after and asked to be caught up. Maze and I defused again, but I can still feel the energy of Super Saiyan, so I think I've figured out what I've been doing wrong. After being informed that most of this is because of time travel, King Kai says that we must speak with a god of destruction named Lord Beerus and inform him of our apparent time crimes. As we return to King Kai's planet, we are spared a trip through space since Lord Beerus is already there waiting for us. He claims we have a lot of explaining to do.
My god, the next paragraph is just so fucking... Oh my god, it's all paragraphs from here on out.
Yep, here we go!
Oh, wait, correction, there's one sentence.
Wait. Who gets to read that one, I wonder? You know, even if it is me, I'll let you read it.
Okay, so we're on log 27, right?
Yeah.
Cool. We managed to explain to Beerus and Whis that we are anomalies, which apparently was enough to excuse us for our time crimes. Beerus and Whis revived us somehow, and let me say, being alive has never been better. We have been transported to a different dimension called Toki Toki City, run by a pink Kai named Supreme Kai of Time. Also, her actual name is Cronoa.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just making sure. And,
she introduces herself later.
Okay. As we arrived, Beerus and Whis left us after managed to get on the God of Destruction's bad side. In the hour we were together. We were given a few moments to gather ourselves before we were greeted by the Supreme Kai of Time herself and informed us that Toki Toki City is where anomalies such as ourselves gather to help fix other to fix the other normal timelines. After she left in a rush due to an emergency, Maze and I followed to see what we could do to help, while the others followed Squash in checking out our new home. Maze and I caught up to the Supreme Kai, and she explained what we are going to do from now on. Scrolls that recall time events of the past of different timelines have been changed, and it is our job to fix them. The Supreme Kai of Time told us to return once we are ready for our first mission. Maze and I return to the group, who just bumped into our old friend Berg of the Glaciers. Everyone was on guard as Berg explained that his actions were orders from Frieza and who he no longer serves. Berg agrees to join our party as Squash claims that he is going to spend time in Toki Toki City training instead of joining us on our mission. With a majority vote from the party, I was recruited as the Noom T leader again. We say goodbye to our friend Squash as we head off to Supreme Kai of Time for our first mission. We are instructed to go to Earth and help the correct timeline. We enter the timeline to find Raditz fighting Kakarot, a Namekian named Piccolo. With a swift shot of from Gem, Raditz goes down. After a moment of confusion, Raditz sits up and Fu appears. Fu tosses an energy ball to Raditz, giving a significant boost of power and a noticeable purple aura. After fighting Raditz for a little longer, Kakarot manages to grapple Raditz, seeing this as an opportunity. Nasu runs up and stabs Raditz and Kakarot, killing Kakarot. Piccolo fires off his attack, which looked awful a lot like Squash's Makon Pozapo, killing Raditz. We begin to leave, but Nasu just begins blabbering on about our time missions to Piccolo, hopefully not screwing over what timeline we were over the timeline more than we may have already. Berg drags Nasu back to Toki Toki City, and Supreme Kai of Time apologizes for not being clear on what we were to do, but scold us only really for killing Kakarot. After the mission, I went to find a quiet place to update this log. Whew. There's a lot of reading that's gonna happen. Holy shit, Yuki, we have like...
We're not even halfway through yet, right?
Yeah,
actually, I think we just hit the halfway point.
That was log 27?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 42 logs in total. We're technically at the halfway point.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah, you get to read your private log 27, too. Isn't that great?
Oh, yeah. I should probably write a couple private logs to explain some things that I didn't talk about in the logs. Private log 27.
You can unlock those private logs by donating to our Patreon.
Want to see what Spinnick thinks? So do we.
So do we.
I'm now in charge of the team. Again, I realize that I never put down the fact that our first encounter with Berg once Squash died. I don't think I mentioned the fact that I was elected team captain.
Oh, yeah, that's true. We did talk about it. But he was team captain while Squash wasn't around.
Yeah. I'm now in charge of the team. Again, I realized that unlike Squash, I don't have many leadership qualities other than common sense. Also, during my fight with Raditz, I realized that in every other timeline, I never existed, meaning they never knew who I was. My friends and family are living lives, while I simply don't exist. Raditz became a warrior, and Kakarot also became a powerful fighter. Bardock would be proud. Back to my leadership crisis, though. Squash was very good with giving orders and having people listen. I, on the other hand, can give an order, and if they don't like it, they'll ignore the order or simply not listen to begin with. I was one of the last of us to truly gain Super Saiyan, and seeing Berg again has made me realize that I still have so much more to work on. My mom and dad are out there in other timelines completely unaware of my existence. I have a brother who I don't remember, and I don't even know if he's also an anomaly, let alone if he's still alive. This is a lot. Here goes. Spinnick has had a couple of crises.
Yeah, it gets rough. Especially since he's like the main character I use as like a story point to move forward with the story with. It's mostly Spinnick. And that's because he's also the only person who actively chooses to positively inflict the story. Whereas Nasu will negatively inflict it. I'm just like, whatever, it's happening. Spinnick usually tries to bring the story forward in a good way, I guess. I don't know.
Thank you.
Yeah. And now we have Rem, so hopefully that'll balance out soon. We'll find out. Log 28. Cronulla called us back for our next mission. This time we're going back to the same timeline we just messed up. Our goal is to make sure Goku and Vegeta fight goes normally and that nobody dies. We arrive as Goku and Vegeta fight begins. Everything seems normal until I sense energy coming from my left. A warrior in a red cloak and in a mask to shoot at Goku. Maze and I split off from the party in order to confront this warrior. I tried to talk with the masked warrior to no effect. The others went and joined the fight between Goku and Vegeta. I managed to grapple the warrior, and Maze waited on standby in case anything went wrong. Vegeta threw a ball of energy into the air, transformed into the Great Ape. This also allowed Zuki to transform as well alongside. Sweet around this time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Sweet around this time, Berg transforms twice, revealing his new form. Sweet is also the original, or the name that Gem was going to have when the dude was going to take over it.
Yeah, I think this was the one session he showed up.
Yeah, this was the one and only. And we've had like 20 since. Not really, but you get the picture. I can't edit it. Oh, wait. No, I can't edit it. Alright. Transform alongside Sweet. And this time, Berg transforms twice. Thanks. Revealing a new form of his much stronger than when I fought him before. Also, holding the warrior, he gains a golden glow with electricity. After a bit, he asks to be released, so he can write something down. I let him go since he doesn't seem to be able to cause much trouble. He writes down a symbol on a piece of paper and summons Fu. Fu proceeds to power up Vegeta, and Nasu begins to charge an attack. After Zuki climbs around on top of Vegeta and fires an energy ball, which quickly expands, covering the entire battlefield, and killing Krillin, who was standing nearby and injuring everyone else. I give a signal, and Maze comes in with a Dragon Fist. Maze turns into the Super Saiyan form, and after a bit more fighting, I do as well. Fu helps defend Vegeta in the remaining incoming attacks. Goku finally looks around and sees Krillin dead, causing him to go into a rage and transform into a Super Saiyan. Vegeta and Goku both begin charging their attacks. As Maze and I are fighting this other Saiyan, the masked Saiyan calls out for a timeout and powers up into a new, what I know as Super Saiyan God.
Dang, he did that early on?
Yeah. Maze decided to try and go and help the others, leaving me to fight the masked Saiyan. Even in Super Saiyan, I am unable to overpower the masked Saiyan and am knocked unconscious. Maze caught me up on what happened next. Goku and Vegeta fire their attacks. Goku uses the Kaioken ×4 to overpower Vegeta. Nasu calls Vegeta's pod and tosses him inside. With the mission now really over, we return to our time and regain consciousness. Cronulla scolds us again for killing a good guy and claims that we should try some PQs out to practice up some more. So, in short, Nasu kills Krillin, Goku goes Super Saiyan, uses Super Saiyan and Kaioken at the same time to beat Vegeta, who's been power amped by Fu, who Fu also summons an ally called the Masked Saiyan currently at this point, who goes Super Saiyan 2 and then just flexes a little bit more because he can. He goes Super Saiyan God in front of the other two, and this cues fucking Maze to be like, I'm not fighting this dude, deuces, and leaves Spinnick alone to get beat the fuck up, knocked out, and then caught up at what happens in the end. That is the fucking worst thing that Maze has done to you, and I'm surprised you let him get away with it.
It was funny because I asked him at first, it's like, hey, can you stand back and just kind of like, wait, like you can go help them if you want. And then he's like, yeah, I'll just step in when you give the signal. I give the signal, just, bye.
Bye.
All that just for him to leave me.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to say, Nasu's big ball move that hit us all, the only reason he did that is because he read the move wrong.
He read the move wrong, along with the fact that the maps weren't actually the size, but also... What the fuck? Why is this happening every time I use my mouse? Alright, there we go. Along with, let me like read the move real quick. What's this? So his move is Razor Cannon. No, it's not True Demon. Overflowing Power. No. Don't. Void Call Cannon. God Kai Instant Transmission. Cock Zone. Okay. Key Empowered Strikes. No. Razor Cannon. 10 plus 5 key points per fear. Okay, so the move he was using, you can use a Razor Cannon, a massive key blast that deals 1d10 necrotic for every key point you charge into it. Every creature in a 10 plus 5 per key point foot sphere centered on a point further than 30 plus 10 per key point feet. You must like the phrasing on this move alone is so fucking confusing. So that when we first read it, we thought that the ball got bigger because it does for Broly in the show. So we thought that the move just kept getting bigger the more key you pumped into it too. So he just kept pumping key into it. And then we're like, okay, cool. It gets to the point where it encompasses the entire fucking map sometimes. So we had to change that into a key blast. I still think it is written that way, but that's only because I can't read whatever the fuck this dude is saying. Whoever wrote that class shit really needs to learn how to read English, I guess, is what I'm saying, because that shit fucking crazy.
Also, this is the move that is.
Yeah, but there's also here. I'm trying to see if there is a good image of it. Either way, the tech Broly and Dokkan, that's his super attack. So that's why I thought, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But also it's like, I wonder if this one does the full thing. No. Because it's the move that he uses against the family Kamehameha. And that move
that's his level 3 in fighters.
Yeah, and that's why I thought that this move was. And I'm pretty certain it was.
I'm pretty sure that's one of his later ones, actually.
Either way. Yeah. But the way it's written is just so butt-fuckingly confusing either way. That, in all fairness, it being canon made the story funnier, to me at least, anyway. So I'm not really offended by it, but it's whatever. You got log 29, bud. Another relatively short one, by the way. Might I add.
Oh, yippee. No. Alright. Log 29. We ended up trying to take on a high-level PQ, where our goal is to defeat a Saiyan named Broly. Nasu immediately flew up high and began charging the same attack that he used against Vegeta. Most of this fight was simply trying to get out of the way of the incoming blast. When Nasu finally fired it, Broly was taken down in an instant, but also dealt a lot of damage to us in the process. Before we could scold Nasu on using that move again and hurting his teammates, 3 new enemies appeared: Broly, and a green blob with a similar energy to Broly. Immediately, the 3 enemies started attacking Nasu, giving us enough time to gather ourselves and leave. We were rewarded for completing the base mission and received some Xenia, along with a Dragon Ball for everyone, except me. We managed to meet up with Zuki and Squash, who both also had Dragon Balls, adding up to 6.
So, there were PQs installed into this campaign that I had plans for. And they did one of them. They did do actually 2 of them in total, which is really funny. But the thing is that this mission was the last Broly mission where Broly just shows up like 3 times, and I was like, you know what? They never referenced Bio Broly or Super Broly in those missions yet, so I'm just gonna make it to where all Broly show up and see if they piss their pants, maybe. And they did. It was funny. I had fun.
Oh yeah.
I laughed a lot.
Also, Maze immediately said Kakarot into the fight.
Oh yeah, and then poof, everything fucking went wrong. That too. That's basically it there. Oh, this one's the fun one. Great. Log 30. It has been rather peaceful lately, and Cronoa hasn't called us for any missions yet. Gem approached Maze and I about doing something productive today, and the 3 of us decided to try out a PQ. Gem showed us his ability to access more PQs for us. Our mission is to try and protect Bulma. The Guinea Force, along with some Frieza minions, took over Capsule Corp and are holding Bulma and staff hostage. We decided to split up, clear the first floor, and meet back up to fight Goldo. Gem and I decided to spend some time downloading arcade games, leaving Maze and I to... Gem decided to spend time downloading arcade games, leaving Maze and I to fight Goldo. After throwing a few desks at us, Goldo goes down pretty easily. After Maze uses his Super Saiyan form, Gem rejoins us, and we move to the next floor, where Birder, Raccoon, Jace are waiting for us. We come to an agreement to roll dice and decide who goes first, fights in 1v1 battles. Maze starts by fighting Birder, who, with a couple of Dragon Fists, goes down fast, living up to the title Fastest in the Universe. Next was me versus Raccoon. I heavily underestimated Raccoon and got beat around pretty badly, barely managing to knock out each other. After I come to and healed up, Jace decided to fight all 3 of us at once. He would later come to regret that decision. After throwing the last of the threats down the elevator shaft, we moved to the final floor of the Capsule Corp. Maze immediately is ambushed by 2 Cybermen and Frieza soldier forces. After wiping those soldiers out, Ginyu quickly runs to Bulma, swaps bodies. Gen then ties up Bulma Ginyu, and we decided that we can use our Dragon Balls and then grab the one this Bulma had to wish with Bulma Ginyu and Ginyu Bulma back to their original bodies. We grab them and return to Toki Toki City. I take Ginyu Bulma to meet Cronoa so that they can discuss things after they swap bodies. After the wish is made to return to their bodies, Ginyu to try swap bodies with me, only frozen by Cronoa. Ginyu will now be used as a tutor and a punching bag. And Bulma has made a deal with Cronoa to get us some tutors like Kakarot and Vegeta and begin allowing to create and sell figures. The fucking game, what was it called, Yugi?
State-of-the-art battle simulator. Freaking every time you boot up the game.
Yeah, that one. After we see Bulma off to her own timeline, we are finally given a moment to relax. This one was canon. And it was only canon because I wanted to give us an excuse in the future to be able to bridge over into the new Toki Toki City, or whatever it's called, Kantan City. Because at the moment where they're starting, it's only Toki Toki City, which is basically just this small city floating in the void of space with lights going off and Shenron in the background for no reason. So yeah. That's basically it. So they fought also the Ginyu Force before actually fighting Ginyu Force in the Namek Saga, which makes this a whole lot easier. Also, Mokuba was eventually planned to take place in this campaign so he could eventually figure out how to make his Kamen Rider campaign work out well, and that just didn't work. And that's why we have the next character to show up. Yugi, take it away.
Log 31. We started early this morning. We all gathered by the shops only to learn how scared everyone is thanks to our reputation. I managed to swap my armor out to armor that looked closer to Bardock's. I also managed to get some brass knuckles for free from a very kind robo shopkeeper. As we're leaving the shops, we encounter a new face named Obsidian. He's an android who isn't immediately terrified by our presence and reputation. Nasu decides to test out the new guy and see if he'd be interested in joining our team. Nasu tries to cut the android to pieces, but Obsidian manages to block and evade most of his attacks. Nasu decides to use his Void Call Cannon, a form of his big ball that he has more control of, as a beam attack. We began to worry that Nasu may kill the android, but there wasn't much we could do now. Nasu fires off his cannon, and with a raise of a hand, Obsidian absorbs the beam completely. Next, Obsidian decides to use the Spirit Bomb. This surprises all of us, but we decide to lend our energy. With our energy added into the Spirit Bomb, Obsidian throws it, consuming Nasu in a bright blue light, taking him down instantly.
Everyone felt the cosmic karma in this. At least in the group. Because Nasu had blown them all up individually like 4 times. It was about time that he got blown up too. And yeah, so Obsidian joins us. He's Android 22 in this timeline. Somehow. It's weird. Log 32. Cronoa finds us and asks us why Nasu was fighting Obsidian. We explain why Obsidian decides to join. We explain why an Obsidian decides to join our team, even if just for a little bit. Cronoa informs us that she's sending us on another mission. Finally, we're going to Planet Namek. And we are going to make sure that Planet Namek explodes only when it's supposed to, and nothing else goes wrong. We arrive on the planet and decide to split up. Nasu and I will go to this Guru's house and try to obtain their Dragon Ball and make sure Frieza can't use it to make a wish. Berg and Obsidian will go to try and talk with and take the Dragon Ball from some Frieza soldiers nearby and try to sneak onto Frieza's ship, while Maze, Gem, and Squash try to meet up with Kakarot and Gohan, who arrives on the planet. Nasu and I arrive at Guru's house, who is an incredibly large Namekian, guarded by a Namekian warrior named Nail. We explain to Guru why we need the Dragon Ball, and he agrees to give it to us if we bring him a child on the planet who he can pull the potential out of. We find out who the child is. We find out the child who is Gohan, who's with Kakarot. Kakarot's not really happy to see Nasu, but I explain we need to bring Gohan to Guru. Kakarot is hesitant until Maze, Gem, and Squash arrive. Together, we manage to convince Kakarot to bring Gohan so we can get Dragon Ball and have Gohan go stronger. As we arrive back at Guru's house, Obsidian and Berg arrive, showing off the Dragon Ball, telling us that they got shooed away from Frieza's ship by Dodoria. Gem and Maze and Squash tell us that they ran into Zarbon, who they killed on their way over to Kakarot. Guru pulls out Gohan's potential, then Kakarot's, and claims that he has enough energy to pull one more the potential out of Maze. Okay. Nasu gives Guru a sense of being, hoping that he can boost the rest of us. He attempts to pull the energy out of me, but says it has no effect. He fails to boost Nasu as well. Kakarot splits off and goes to confront Vegeta, who has also been on the planet. After a bit, Kakarot returns with Vegeta, who warns us of the Guinea Force approaching. Just after Guru warned us, we send Berg, Gem, Obsidian to hide our current Dragon Balls underwater, and they return. And once they return, Vegeta decides to try and guard his Dragon Balls, who we follow as Vegeta begins searching around, where we are confronted by the Guinea Force and Dodoria. Gem, Maze, and I aren't really worried since we just took down the Guinea Force post-training session from the future. Okay, holy shit, I need to go get water.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me do that. Yugi, tell them Like,
Well, you get to read it.
I do get to read it. Fuck yeah. I get to read the 1 second one. Awesome. Thank God I can give my throat some break. God damn.
I wanted to be a writer a while ago, but as I read what I write, I realized I'm not that great at it, I don't think. Unfortunately.
Yugi, it's not your writing skills, it's my reading comprehension skills. You realize I read mostly manga, right?
No, yeah, I get that. I'm reading it with you, which is where my doubts in it come from.
I feel like your writing is fine. It's just that my dyslexia and then my reading comprehension is not the greatest all the time. So I think you're fine though, especially because when you've reread the thing before, when we open up our sessions, nothing ever really bad is spoken out of order, and even then, when it does, you turn it into a good joke. So it's whatever. I don't think it's bad.
Okay.
Oh, we're on 9 of 13. We're almost done.
We're almost caught up until, depending upon what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a whole thing about tomorrow.
The Ginyu Force asks us to roll dice and decide who fights in one-on-one combat.
Again.
Yeah, except some had to fight 1-on-2. The Ginyu Force eats some fruit and gets a noticeable power-up. Not Doria, though. Ginyu sits out as well as Kakarot and Vegeta watch us fight, only for Ginyu to sneak away to gather the Dragon Balls while we fight. The fights were Raccoon versus Nasu. Nasu using his high-powered energy attacks, he takes down Raccoon pretty easily. Next up was Maze and Gohan versus Joyce. Funny. Either way. Most of the fights were Jace firing off his Crusher Volcano at Maze. After a bit, Maze finally manages to figure out Jace and dodges all of his blasts. From then on, the fight went pretty smoothly. Gem and Obsidian were next fighting Goldo. Goldo kept freezing time and dropping grenades by Gem and Obsidian's feet.
That was so funny.
After
Again, the grenades being like a huge weakness of the Saiyans was so fucking awesome. And because Goldo had literal time stop, I was able to be like, you know what? Just throw 5 of them near them and see what happens. It was so fun. But even then, it was Gem and Obsidian, so like they did not care in the end, and yeah, it was just rough. Go ahead, Yuri. Yeah.
Also, after a bit of getting blown up, Vegeta steps in and kills Goldo. Well, Dodoria and I prepare to fight Burger. Wait.
Mm-hmm.
Berg persuades Berter to return to Toki Toki City as long as we revive Jace later. Now it's my turn to fight. Finally!
Vegeta killed Dodoria before I even got a chance to move.
We're like 3 hours into the session, and I am yet to fight anyone.
Yeah, you were sidelined to go get Guru to convince to be able to let us have a Dragon Ball. Then you had to go make sure that Goku would come along and be friends with us. No conflict. Whereas Berg and fucking Berg and Obsidian were fighting, kind of, at least deceiving people. Maze, Gimp, and who was the third one? Zuki? No. Whatever that group of 3 was out fighting Zarbon and those Frieza forces, which went out really fast. And then you guys were just waiting and waiting and waiting.
It was gonna be fine, but I was waiting with Nasu.
Yeah. And that made the session so much better for me. Because I was just like, alright, let's pan back to Nasu and Spinnick here. And then Nasu was like, well, fuck you, Spinnick. And I'm like, yes, funny. And then we pan back over to the fight. And then the one chance Yugi / Spinnick gets to actually fight someone, I'm like, Vegeta steps in and kills Dodoria. And you're like, nah! It's so good. It made me so happy. Alright.
Hi, you get the really long one.
Do I?
Yeah, you
Oh,
can get the really
God.
long one where Spinnick has his whole like dramatic dialogue. But log 35. With all the fights done, the sky goes black as someone summons the Wish Dragon. We fly as fast as we can to Frieza's ship to find Ginyu, Frieza, and Fu, who brought the Masked Saiyan from before. Fu has Bulma and a small Namekian child hostage. Dang, I say his name a lot. Fu commands the child to make his wish, but the child revives and teleports Piccolo to the planet instead, getting the child killed. The Dragon Balls crack and turn to stone, causing the dragon to disappear. Squash tries to back up to get a better vantage point, only to be smashed into the ground by the Masked Saiyan. Fu decides to disappear, leaving the Masked Saiyan here with Ginyu and Frieza. I confront the Masked Saiyan, who hands me a 4-leafed clover. I accept the clover, but the Saiyans still cannot speak. Squash manages to sneak in a punch, causing the Masked Saiyan's mask to crack, revealing an eye.
Wait, Squash did that?
Yeah, he managed to cheap shot.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The weakest out of them managed to get the good shot. Oh, it was Squash, Gem, and Maze. That was the group of 3.
Right.
Log 36. That eye was the left eye of my brother, Aru. Finally, after all these years, I can see my brother again, and it's as enemies, in combat. I need to take a few moments to process my emotions, starting with shock, then sorrow, then anger, then pride, and finally, I decide just to engage Aru in a fight. While we were fighting, the others are fighting against Ginyu and Frieza. Ginyu tries to swap bodies with Nasu, who manages to dodge, forcing Ginyu to swap bodies with a nearby frog. Vegeta takes his chance to rush over to Ginyu's body and kills Ginyu Frog. Berg rushes over to Frog Ginyu and takes him back to Toki Toki City. Yes, Berg straight up grabs Frog Ginyu and deuces out of the timeline, kidnapping the Frog Ginyu, and leaves back to their city point, their home base. In the middle of a fight. Just straight up.
Mm-hmm.
He just leaves them behind. I was like, Walker, are you serious? He's like, yeah, I absolutely take Frog Ginyu to fucking Toki Toki City. I was like, wow, okay. Great friendship. Great camaraderie. Great babysitting job you're supposed to be doing. Frieza now decides to charge a ball of energy and raises his arms into the air. Aru finally decides to show off that Super Saiyan God form again, and I respond with Super Saiyan. As half of us fight Frieza, another half of us fight Aru. I see Aru raise his arms into the air and begin charging a Moonveil cannon. Frieza throws this ball of energy, causing a massive explosion, leaving us in a molten crater. As the dust begins to clear, Kakarot begins searching for Gohan, who was killed in the blast. This causes Kakarot to enter a new rage, pushing himself Kakarot.
Kakarot.
This causes Kakarot to enter a new rage, pushing him beyond that of the Super Saiyan to what seems to be a middle ground between the Super Saiyan and that Super Saiyan 3 form we've seen from before. So I assume they call it Super Saiyan 2. The explosion also seems to have interrupted Aru, giving me the chance to start charging mine. During this time, the others are trying to take down Frieza, while Squash gets shot by Frieza, causing him to be paralyzed from the waist down. Everyone starts firing off beams at Frieza, while Squash and Piccolo fire their own special beam cannon. I scream to Aru to try and figure out a way to talk. I don't care how, and his response is to grab Maze and hold him in front as a shield. I then continue to charge up and scream to Aru to figure out something, or I'm blasting him, telling him I don't care what happens to Maze. I feel like that's retribution for the last time he left you with, just left him alone with the Super Saiyan God.
He was just mad, dude, but yeah, totally works.
You know, it's a little bit justification, you know? You
didn't have to fight a god, Maze!
Wait, fuck, where did I leave that? Figure something out. This causes him to let go of Maze. Faintly, I hear a voice in my head say, Moonveil. Aru then takes the same stance as me as we both charge up the full Super Saiyan versus Super Saiyan God, brother versus brother. We fire our beams and push and push, but it just isn't enough. I take a small blast from Aru's cannon only to be rushed by Aru after having engaged us in hand-to-hand combat. Damn. Alright.
Yeah. The theater of mind was popping off this day.
Yeah. All the Log 37's up to you, though. Is there anything you want to add to that, or...
Like what?
I don't know. You were the main combatant here. I was just wondering if there was anything that was in there that you were like, yeah, you know, let's think about this, that, and the other.
Nothing really, because most of the one person I got to fight was head-to-head fisticuffs with Aru. I was loving it, dude.
That's good. All right, then you can read log 7. Whoops. 37.
Okay. Log 37. Nasu fires off his Void Call cannon, only to be interrupted by another Frieza race appearing and diving through the beam and punching Nasu. This is Frieza's older brother, Cooler. I realized there's a lot of siblings this arc.
Yeah. I thought it was fitting.
Yeah, it's perfect. Cooler fires off an energy blast, directly hitting Aru, only for it to go completely ignored. I still don't understand why he shot Aru.
Who? Cooler?
Cooler. Mm-hmm.
It missed.
Oh.
Yeah, it was in that one moment for me. I was like, well, he shot somewhere. I rolled and it was only hitting fucking Aru. I was like, alright, well, it hit Aru, and Aru did not give a shit.
Shortly after Cooler's arrival, Frieza is knocked unconscious. After a bit more fighting, Maze offers Cooler a rice cake. Cooler accepts, only to choke on and nearly pass out. Maze offers the rest of the rice cakes to Cooler, saying that he can have them if he just leaves, causing Cooler to accept and grab Frieza, leaving and stating that he personally has no reason to stay and fight us, reminding us of how long we have until the planet explodes.
Oh. The planet does explode.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Whoops. Okay, so there was reasons. Never mind.
Yeah. I know you've explained it to me, but I don't remember. How did they get the Dragon Balls back up?
It's probably in this.
The sky goes black again, and the dragon reappears, asking us to state our final wish. After some discussion, Kakarot wishes back his son, Gohan, and the dragon disappears. Gem quickly grabs a pod and tells Kakarot to get inside to try and keep the timeline right. Kakarot agrees and takes off while Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, and Bulma get on the ship and leave. Maze, Gem, and Obsidian cover the other side of Aru, surrounding him. Aru pauses for a moment before changing his red aura to a new blue one, which I can only assume is another level of Super Saiyan God, making him much stronger than I thought. After transforming, he vanishes. With the sudden disappearance, I feel all my emotions finally catch up. We return to Toki Toki to be greeted by Cronoa, who says that everything we did was wrong, but also kinda right. The best result we've gotten so far for our actual missions. Gem finally got those controllers he wanted, so that's great. Now to go to the training area and unleash all my rage.
I forgot how I just was like, yeah, and Gem got those controllers he wanted for his own personal himself arcade machine. There we go, guys. Story wrapped around, and you were like, I'm gonna go fucking scream for a bit. Log 38. It's been a couple days since our last mission and our run-in with Fu and Aru. I ran into Gem, and we chatted for a bit. He offered to take me into a place to train and chat about Aru. We arrived to train at our training area and redacted. And that's because there was a lot of shit that I wanted Yugi to keep in between from the players and him, while Gem gave him a in-character explanation of shit that's happening in the world. Because he needed the knowledge for the future. We're here for quite some time, but I'm very grateful that we came here. I have managed to cool down about Aru, and Gem helped me make some future plans. Can't wait for our next mission. Log 39. Oh my god, Yugi, wait, we're almost done! We're actually almost done! I can't
Should I
believe
put
it!
the unredacted version in here too?
Do you have the unredacted version still?
I do,
Okay, then do you want me to read it?
if you want.
Because they would be part of the same thing.
Okay.
Add the unredacted version next to the redacted word.
Oh,
Yeah.
I just copy pasted it right underneath unredacted log 38.
Oh, unredacted log 38. We arrived.
Oh wait, I could just take the redacted part. Right.
Block
just...
X Block Blaster X.
Shut your mouth.
That's the first
We do
time I was able
not
to
speak
read
that name. 39. Redacted. However, there we go.
Gim calls in the hyperbolic time chamber and tells me that we have time to prepare for the next year. Gem summoned these blue bug children named Cell Juniors. That'll be explained later. Don't worry about it. We spent some time talking about a plan to try and save Aru and breaking Fu's mind control over him and him helping me calm down about having to fight Aru. We decided to make a plan to have Aru join Fu's side as a spy.
Wait, Aru? No, it's Gem.
Gem.
Whoops. Gotta fix that. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
We decided to make a plan to have Gem join Fu's side as a spy. He may get masked but if we could free Aru and Gem after...
Why did I put space?
Afterwards. Yeah, I was like, afterwards, we could gain valuable info and heavily weaken Fu's forces, especially after Gem told me he's already achieved up to Super Saiyan 2, but does not want to use it to prevent anyone from getting the idea of coming up with a Super Saiyan God ritual, causing the universe to become unbalanced. We spend 2 months inside the time chamber training myself to be able to power up to use Super Saiyan as easily as possible, with a few possible downsides. After we are satisfied, we decided to leave the time chamber before people begin to wonder where we went. Where we were for quite some time, but I am very grateful that we came here. I have managed to cool down about Aru and Gem helping me make plans for the future. I can't wait for our next mission.
Alright. Log 39. Actually, how many logs? Because I think log 42 is the most recent one, yeah. We all met up and began hanging out before Cronoa called us all on our next mission, being told Trunks would join us. We arrived in a canyon where Trunks is fighting Frieza's army. I decided to try and sneak over and check if Trunks was okay, since Frieza, King Cold, and Cooler are all there. King Cold senses our energy rather quickly and zips over, slicing the head off of Obsidian. Gem tries to touch.
This is where Obsidian aka Mokuba, decided to say, I don't want to do the D&D session anymore. So I was like, okay, cool. I have you need to wait 5 minutes before you can stop playing D&D. And he was like, okay, why? I'm like, you'll see why. It's okay. It's not a big deal. And then I made him get killed. That's it. That was it. That was the only thing. He was there for exactly one arc, and you know what? That one arc was a whole fucking session. I count it as good.
Gem tries to toss Obsidian's head away, only for it to be destroyed, and King Cold transforms into a form we have not seen anyone use before. As I arrive at Trunks, he allows me to help him, and Cooler agrees to sit back and wait for his turn to fight. Frieza charges a supernova, which Trunks and I are forced to catch and push back out into space. During this time, everyone else is fighting King Cold, and after a few well-placed nut shots, he transforms again into a massive Earth form. Squash begins to charge a spirit bomb, and everyone else tries to lend some of the energy that they have. Trunks grabs the now even more transformed Frieza and throws him in the air, and I Moonveil rush Frieza into unconsciousness, who is then killed by Cooler. Cooler then steps up and asks us to simply knock him out, so that way he can just leave when this is all over. While everyone else is fighting, King Cold While everyone else was fighting King Cold, Squash decided to condense his spirit bomb into his gun for a sort of spirit gun. And after getting attacked by Cold a few times, Squash fires the spirit gun, leaving a crater where Cold once was. As Trunks and I are fighting Cooler, a blue beam zips right by us, disintegrating Cooler and their ship and flying far off into the horizon. Around this time, Squash's energy vanishes, and Nasu's energy spikes and continues to grow.
Yeah, Dax finally achieved the legendary Super Saiyan state at the end of this session, which was awesome. It was great. The spirit gun sucked ass because it did way more damage than I expected it to do, and it did so much damage that it would kill both Cooler, Cold, and Frieza. And I was like, alright, cool. Well, I mean, fuck it. They're already going to be taken out anyway. Might as well just make this wrap up real nice at the end of the session. And then it was funny, I think. As Trunks and I move over to the others to see what's going on, Nasu fires a large blast of energy into the sky, causing space to light up and Jupiter to be destroyed. Trunks was introduced to Trunks X, while Nasu powers up again. And he loses his glow. We try to return to Toki Toki City, but something is stopping us, and Trunks S from returning to our original times. We all catch up, and Gem explains our original plan. The Z Warriors arrive, and Trunks X corrects any errors that Trunks S had on the plan in defeating the incoming android threat. While they are talking, Kakarot arrives in his pod. With everyone here, we all make plans to revive Namek using the Dragon Balls to help us. After Trunks S informs us about the androids incoming in the future, we make plans to use the Room of Spirited Time to train us all up before the androids arrive. Meaning, the timeline has progressed years faster than the normal timeline. Also, Yugi, could you not spell the hyperbolic time chamber? SMH gamer.
No, they called it the Room of Spirit and Time!
No, I know they did. I just wanted to be funny.
You're gonna make fun of me.
I don't have to.
Fair enough, actually.
Okay.
Alright. Log 41.
Wait. Let me grab a blankie. I turned on my AC and now I'm slightly too cold, but I don't want to change it because I'm comfy. Alright. Alright, I'm ready. Log 41.
Log 41. Before we left, we realized Zuki was also taken as well, so we needed to get as strong as possible before we next take on Few and his crew. Hip rhyming for the teens of this generation.
Indeed.
We've all gone to Yardrat to learn how to use our ki better and learn instant transmission. After some time, we learned what we needed to learn and decided to head back to the lookout. We decided who will enter the Room of Spirit of Time with who. I will enter with Vegeta and Maze. Maze will enter with Nasu and me. Nasu will enter with Maze and Trunks X. Berg will enter with Piccolo. Gem didn't enter. Maze has managed to push his form to new heights, and Nasu has attempted to master instant transmission. I managed to learn so much from Vegeta, and I feel more confident for the upcoming battle. Berg learned how to put people in jars. I'm too nervous to ask for more details in fear of being put in a jar. We still have a good bit of time before the androids arrive, and I feel really confident that we are going to nail this.
Yeah. So this goes incredibly wrong almost immediately. 42. Once Bulma arrives at the lookout, she decided to bring someone with her. Another time patroller, the name of Teleka. Trapped here just like us, but sent to help us fix our mistakes. Just like Berg. Teleka immediately decided that she wanted to try and fuse and chooses me as a second half. After a few attempts, we managed to fuse with our strength combined. We could even hit Super Saiyan 3. But it felt weird because the fusion was a girl. Maze got a little bit jealous and demanded to fight Spinica, us. And with a swift punch, he was sent flying off the lookout, damaging a few of the trees on the lookout. in the process causing Mr. Popo to throw us off the tree.
What?
Yeah, throwing us off the tree. Off of the lookout.
Nuh-uh. That says lookout.
And demanding us to get new trees. As we instant transmission, we find Yamcha getting impaled by Dr. Gero. We decided that we could deal with this threat swiftly, since we are fused, so we dash over and go in for a big swing, only to get caught by the android doctor. The doctor fires a painful blast directly into our chest. Whoops. And we quickly reach for Yamcha, only to be grabbed by Android 19, who proceeds to sap a bit of the energy. The androids mistake our fusion for Zuki, which we use to get a bit of info out of them and escape with Yamcha's now dead and only defuse... now dead body, only to defuse once we reach the lookout. Mr. Popo forgives us for the lack of trees, but throws Yamcha's corpse off the lookout because it was unappealing. That's canon. We spent some time coming up with a plan for the androids, and while we were planning, Maze decided to instant transmission to the land of the Kais. I followed along with Berg, Teleka, Piccolo, Trunks, S, and Nasu. Maze attempts to persuade the Supreme Kai and Kibito Kai to assist us with the incoming android threat. They instead decide that it would be better to go grab Whis, who could potentially help us more. Since the Kais don't remember us because of time shenanigans, Whis thankfully does remember us and assists us with the knowledge on what not to do, breaking Nasu's sword. And Supreme Kai and Kibito Kai fuse and leaving a spare pair of earrings, which he gives to Piccolo to only use in extremely dire times. With that, he sends us off on our way with the coordinates for Dr. Gero's lab. So, also, you left out a thing.
Yeah, the box. I just thought about that.
Well, the box. Also, the fact that they gave the Z sword to them.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to just fill in the blanks here real quick. So, Fu gave the Kais a box that had his insignia on it. And that box ended up being a bomb designed to destroy the sword that Nasu has. He then Whis informs them about the sword, basically. Oh, well, okay, let me rephrase this. Because what actually happens is, Shin breaks the box as Nasu's out currently in a different dimension because he kept pissing off the Supreme Kai. So he breaks the box. The box explodes, dealing 220 damage to everyone in the vicinity, which would have destroyed the sword, but that's a different topic. Because it would have freed a demon god, basically. Which Whis then comes back, explains that to them, and is like, Supreme Kai, fuse. And then they fuse. Then they're like, okay, well, since you guys need help, you need these pairs of earrings, basically, and this sword. And they gave the sword to them. And then with that, he sends us off with the coordinates to Dr. Gero's lab so we can get an attempt to destroy these androids inside before they become a threat. Gem decided to stay with Piccolo so that they could go to Namek to try and get more Dragon Balls. We decided to split up into 3 teams to explore the lab. Nasu, Trunks S, and Teleka, then me, Vegeta, Krillin and Trunks X, and finally Berg and Maze. My team didn't do much exploring. Oh wait, my team didn't find much except for a room that had Fu's energy in it that almost crushed me with the walls. During that time, Nasu's team accidentally woke up Android 16, who then woke up Android 21 as my time made it back.
Oh, that's probably supposed to be team. It was late when we finished this.
As my team made it back, we let Android 21 leave since she didn't seem like she was going to cause a problem. We managed to find Maze and Berg as they destroy Cell, quote unquote. After Android 16 goes to the bathroom, everyone else goes to check out the room where they destroyed another unfinished project and wake up robot shark people who then teleport away. During this time, Android 16 manages to wake up 17 and 18, who are getting ready to leave, but I block their path. and they look ready to kill me if I don't get out of their way. And that's where we left off. Holy shit, that's 2 hour and 9 minute stream and recording. Damn! Alright, cool. What do you think, Yugi?
I think I'm excited to play this game again.
Which might be tomorrow. Or the Friday after next. But we don't really know. Mostly because we're trying to plan shit anyway. And RJ didn't say anything, or hasn't said anything yet. And I don't know if we're going to do my Cyberpunk D&D game, or there's like 6 different things that could be happening here. But all of them are fun. And I don't know. That's about it, though. Anything do you have any like closing words or anything?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Wait, is this going up on YouTube?
It's going on Twitch and YouTube currently.
Okay. Make sure to smash that like button, follow, and subscribe.
Thanks, Yuki. I need those analytics anyway. I don't do it for myself, so somebody's got to. Yeah. I guess that's it, right? We don't have anything else? Okay.
Yeah, that should be it.
I'm glad we did this.
I am too.
Alright. Goodbye. Do the things that Yugi said or else you'll die.